Okay, so as these ideas come to me, I'm going to have to record them because if I just forget to do that and I go to the Y, about to go swimming, the inspiration to talk about it kind of leaves me. So while it still has an impact on me, I want to describe it. So I just called up my daughter and I said to her, does she want to go to the Y? And she said no, because she's grounded for getting into a fight with her sister. And I said, well, is your sister grounded too? And she said, yes, her sister is also grounded. And I said, well, who is home at the house now? And she said, her sister is, Eliza is, and she does not think mom is. Mom's at work, but Mike is. And I thought that that was kind of cute because Mike is an agent of the MK Ultra program. He's the guy that was sent in by the military to meet Rachel and break up our family. And now that Rachel has her office in Chesterfield, she is now renting an office space and a garage area, I think like 45 minutes away in Chesterfield. Now that she's doing that, Mike Savannah, the military agent, is now watching my kids whenever she is not there. So it's real convenient how it's worked out that way. So it was kind of cute when Michaela said, well, Eliza's home because she's grounded. I don't think mom is, but Mike is. And I thought that was cute, like Mike is just another one of the kids over there. He's just another kid. So I said, well, okay. But do you notice that he is home a lot more after mom has gotten the garage space in Chesterfield? And she said, not really. I think he works over there often too. But from what I'm hearing, she is always over there while Mike is home. And I think that that is their plan and that is what they've arranged. So as soon as I hang up the phone, these agents that are connected to me through the MK Ultra program go out of their way to harass me. So what has happened on the phone, it fills them with this inspiration, this glee, this kind of sadistic glee. And it's kind of like a longing to see that this has bothered me. They act like they are spectators to all of this. And it is very pleasurable to them. It is a source of inspiration. It's a source of what they are. It's what they look forward to. To watch somebody like me go through that and then feel a little bit bad because of it. Whether it be jealousy or whether it be helplessness, because I'm helpless to keep these agents out of my house when my ex-wife wants to invite them in. So it's glee for that. So I was thinking that my worst enemies, who are these people that I expose and put on the internet, if you were to tell me that some of these men got into a fight with their spouse, with their gay spouse, and they broke up, and then their spouse is dating somebody else, as much as I dislike these people, it's not going to inspire me. It's not going to give me a kick. I'm not going to get my kicks off of hearing that. It is not like a source of inspiration or pleasure to hear that. I'm not going to say that sucks for them. I'm not going to say I feel bad for them. I'm going to say that suits them fine, and I'm probably glad to hear that, but the inspiration will not be there. I'm not going to feel like glee to hear that. Some little misfortune happened in their life that caused them to be, I don't know, jealous or helpless in the fact that they cannot control people in their life. It's not going to be a source of pleasure for me to hear that. It's not what I look forward to hearing. But these people that I expose, I think every single one of them, that drives them. So I was saying to myself that I often describe this by saying that these people like to hear about other people's misfortunes. They are programmed to behave like this, to really get off on other people's misfortunes, ranging from something small, like your girlfriend breaks up with you, to something real bad, which is, I don't know, you get into a car accident, or you even get abducted by these people. They really get off on torturing somebody. That seems to be what they're all striving for. And if they can't do that, they're going to really get off on hearing that you broke up with your girlfriend, or something did not go your way. Something trivial is enough to inspire this spark in them, this spark of life. So it's like it's monotone and dead all day while I'm doing my work. And all I sense is a little bit of dread through them. And I try to ignore that and do my work. And then I call up my daughter, and she tells me, Mom's at work, but Mom's boyfriend is home. And like I said, I consider that pretty cute to hear it like that. And it didn't really bother me. But after I hung up the phone, this outside influence, this outside intelligence was inspired by that. So I began to think about that and how I've been explaining it so far is that the reason they are programmed to be this way is due to the fact that they have low IQs and they are also victims of child molestation. And due to that, they are mentally very young. So that is the reason they behave this way. They look forward to other people's misfortune or suffering, no matter how small it may be, no matter how trivial it may be. They look forward to it. And the reason for that, as I have been explaining, is due to the fact that they are either dumb, they have low IQs, they're victims of child molestation, and that has caused them to remain at a very low mental state. It's like they are mentally still young children, even though they're grown men. And I do not feel that this is doing justice to describing these people, because little children are sympathetic. If you're I'll say my daughters. I've been with my daughters and we've watched as other kids have done something to injure themselves. They were running at a park and they tripped and they fell. Or they're just crying. And my daughters will feel empathy for them. They're not going to laugh at them falling or smile that the kids are crying for whatever reason. and they look almost concerned if they ask me what is wrong with that kid. Why do you think that kid's crying? They always had empathy. So to explain these Greys' actions as they're mentally very young doesn't do justice, because oftentimes young children are very sympathetic or have empathy to others, even though they're young. And then when I explain that they do this because they are stupid, very often people who are mentally disabled, they have mental retardation, they have Down syndrome. I have seen some of those people look uncomfortable. They look uncomfortable if something bad happens. So just because somebody is mentally disabled or have Down syndrome, they're not going to instantly get some sort of pleasure off of other people's misfortune. They're not going to start laughing if somebody falls down or injures themselves just because they have mental retardation or Down syndrome. Some of them may, but not all of them. Many people who are mentally disabled have the empathy. They have the sympathy. And they have the little common sense to know that this is not funny. Other people's misfortune is not a source of pleasure or entertainment. It's not funny. It's not a thrill for them. And last, to say that these people are like this because they were sexually molested, it almost gives them an excuse to behave this way. It almost gives them an excuse. And I'm sure that many people who are molested, sexually molested as children, they don't instantly become this gray life form, this gray consciousness that gets a thrill off of other people's misfortunes. So I want to ask everybody to think about this, because I do not always have the answer. What causes these people that I'm exposing on the internet? I think every single one of these people that I put on the internet fall into this category. I would say almost every single one fall into this category. And to say it's because they are victims of child molestation, sexual abuse, to say it's because they have low IQs, because they're dumb, or because they're mentally young, they're like children. It's not fully explaining why they are the way they are. There is some other variable to this that I'm missing. People who have low IQs have empathy. Little children have empathy. I'm sure people who are sexually molested have empathy. So what is this type of people that they get pleasure, they get a thrill off of hearing about other people's misfortunes? What is it? Because that seems to be their driving force. That is what they're programmed to do, to keep the whole world down. These people could come from families that own publishing companies. They may own Doubleday Publishing Company. But if they hear that some kid wrote a book and him and his family worked hard to self-publish that novel, and it sold 10 or 20 copies, for some reason that will fill them with dread and animosity and anger and envy and jealousy. And they'll spend their life gossiping about this and insulting him. Even though these people own entire publishing companies, they're like this. So what is that variable? It is true. These people often have low IQs. They are looking for people that have less than average IQs, less than average mental intelligences. That is what they say makes a good agent. They are looking for people who have been sexually molested or brought up in these pedophile communities. And due to that, they often act like little children, no matter how old they get. But what is this variable that I'm missing that gives them a thrill to hear about other people's misfortune or other people's embarrassment, no matter how small it may be? What is that thrill? They should be busy running their publishing company. Oftentimes these people are big shots in Hollywood, in the media, in politics, in the corporate world. They should be busy with their own endeavors, their own business. To hear about somebody's girlfriend dumping them shouldn't even really capture their attention. Why do they get a thrill to hear that? Like I said, the worst person over there, if you told me they got into a car accident and went through the windshield, I would say good. They deserved it. It suits them. That could not have happened to a more appropriate person. But you're not going to see me relishing in that. You're not going to see me getting my kicks off of hearing that. I'm not going to get some thrill off of hearing that. It's not the meaning to my life to hear that. Why is that the meaning to their life? Why does that give them so much satisfaction and so much pleasure to hear that? That's the variable that I'm missing in describing them. So if you could come up with that, you could better explain these people. Because these are the type of people that are going to place somebody under MK Ultra mind control. And they're going to torture them until they come out of their houses in a hysterical state. And then they're going to scare them into an area where they then gang up on them, torture them, rape them, and slowly kill them. And that's going to be a lot of pleasure for them. That's going to be the highlight of their life. And when that's not happening, when they can't do that, they're going to sit around and hope for any little inconvenience or embarrassment in other people's lives. But the Christian belief is that if you spend your life being a good person, your spirit goes on to heaven. So what is your spirit? What is the spirit? And the spirit essentially is something like God consciousness. That is something that they'll refer to, I guess, in the New Age. They'll say God consciousness. It is also referred to as fine matter particles. It is an energy that provides the building blocks for the physical world. And it kind of holds all the physical properties of the universe in balance so that solar systems are formed. so that stars and planets are formed in the universe. And I guess that they have referred to it as dark matter or dark energy. And what it really is fine matter particles. And who brought this up was Edward Meyer, who's a Pleiadian contactee from Germany, from Switzerland. And he discussed fine matter particles in some detail. And that is when I first heard of this. I first heard of this through him. So I want to give credit to him and the Pleiadians. So I'm going to have to study this a little bit more. But I want to tell you now that these people who I'm exposing, I call it the military media establishment. It's some of the most wealthy people on the planet, and they're all in the media. They're all in Hollywood films. They're always on the news. They're in politics. They're in charge of all these giant monopoly corporations. These people are referred to as Greys. They're Greys. And as harsh as this may sound, they are born without a spirit. They are born without a human soul. So the question came up is, what about some of these people who would be somewhat moderate? They're not downright evil, at least not at first. Were they born without a soul? And the person that they asked me about was my cousin Nick Merrow. And my guess is that if they did have a soul, if they did have a connection to God consciousness, if they did have a connection to this very powerful conscious energy, that basically creates the whole universe and creates mankind. If they did have some of that, if they did have a soul at the beginning, it will slowly fade with these people. When they do dirt to other people, their soul is going to slowly fade. If you spend your life trying to bring down other people for your own benefit, if you go out of your way to do wrong to other people or to mislead people for your own benefit, as you continue to live doing that, your spirit is going to slowly fade. It'll be like looking in the mirror every day and watching your reflection slowly fade until you don't see anything in the mirror. So I think that that is what other people have said. And it's the origin of the myths of the vampire. And the vampire does not have a reflection when a vampire looks into a mirror. And the reason is a vampire looks like a human being, but it actually preys on human beings. It actually preys on people. And it likes to drink people's blood. And it seems to get high off of people's blood when you watch these vampire movies. The vampire gets some sort of nourishment and energy, and it looks like it gets some sort of satisfaction by drinking people's blood. So that is what these people are. Even literally, they drink people's blood. They look at people as a food source. They look at people as something to manipulate and control. They look at people as something to use. And they have no sense of morality. They have no remorse whatsoever. They don't even think about it. And in these families, they're having children that are born without souls. So these people that I'm exposing, they do not have souls. That is what is missing. That is the missing variable. They're missing their souls. They're soulless. They have no connection to God consciousness. They have no connection to that. What they are connected to is to the grays. They are connected to the alien consciousness. Their parents are connected to that. Their families are connected to that. And that is what they are born into. A family that is controlled by aliens. So they are being guided by the supreme alien consciousness. So it's something like a demon consciousness that is controlling them. And they look at people as something to control, to use and manipulate. And that makes them feel good. They do not have the same outlooks as regular human beings. Their outlook is completely alien to how we look at things. So a great deal of this is owed to what their families have practiced. The reason their children are being born, the reason their children are being born without souls, the main reason their children are being born without souls has a lot to do with what they are. Their genetics have been changed. Aliens have manipulated their genetics. They have abducted people. They have artificially inseminated people. And they've created a race of these humanoids that have alien genetics in them. They have a high level of chimpanzee DNA. They have a high level, they have high levels of Neanderthal DNA in their genetics. So I think what they say now, if you look it up, is that everybody has a certain amount of Neanderthal DNA. But these people have a high amount of it. So once again, I'm not being cold. I'm trying to be scientific. So what these people are basically the animal form of humanity. They're missing something that makes them appear very primitive. When you speak to them, you really can't communicate with them too well. There's like a block there. And many people will think that it's because they are dumb or they are egotistical or that they're snobs. But what is missing is their soul. What is missing is their spirit. And they are essentially the animal form of humanity. If humans were no different from animals, The only thing that made them different was that they were a little bit smarter. This is what will be these people. This is what these people are. They do not have a sense for a higher purpose. They do not have a drive. They do not have a drive to make things better for people on this planet. They don't want to improve things. They are constantly cutting things. They are constantly cutting social programs and education. They are constantly cutting things that will improve people's lives. And a great deal of this is coming from the royal family of England. And the royal family of England is related to the Bush family in the United States. You can look at it as this: the royal family from England. They are related to the Bushes, and the Bushes are employed to take over the United States of America. The Bushes are basically the royal family from England in America. That's their role. I believe that they are all related. And they and quite often they will sexually abuse their own children. So their families become inbred. These royal families are inbred. The Bushes are inbred. And this seems to be what the aliens are encouraging. Because these people who are born into inbred families, they really lack many human qualities. The only thing that they're about is greed, wealth, and control over other people. And they use their wealth and their control over other people for one thing, and that is to murder them. They enjoy murdering people. So when you hear about these Illuminati rituals where people are murdered, these human sacrifice rituals that the elite are part of, this is why they do that. It's their only interest on planet Earth. It's their form of entertainment. It's their reason for living. It's their reason for accumulating so much wealth. So of course, they don't want to do anything that will benefit people, to make people more intelligent, to make people feel better about themselves, to enlighten people, to influence people, because that will make people stronger. That's the direction of human consciousness, God consciousness, the human spirit. They don't want any of that. They want to keep people very weak. They want to keep people very ignorant so that they then have more control over everybody. So these inbreds, they're coming out looking more and more, I would say, robotic. Almost like androids. They look like artificial forms of humanity. And they have certain genetic problems. But this is what the aliens are encouraging because they are easier to control. When you hear about demon possessions, you hear about a foreign intelligence invading somebody and then often turning them into something like a monster, a vampire, a possessed person. I think the most famous story about demon possessions was the Exorcist films, where a little girl was possessed by a demon. So this is what these aliens are doing. They want to create a race of androids, android-like humans that are very greedy. They are very stupid or just blank. They don't really have too many thoughts on life. They don't question the universe. They don't question science. They don't think very much. The only thing that they are interested in is hurting people. They like messing with people and hurting people. That is their main source of entertainment. That is what these inbreds are into. If they could abduct somebody, or gain control over somebody, what they want to do is torture them. So this is what they do to the kids in their custody quite often. Instead of acting like a parent, instead of acting like a guardian, instead of acting in accordance with God consciousness, instead of acting in accordance with the human spirit and being like a guardian of your children, a guardian angel of your children, these people will molest their kids. They'll abuse them and molest them and often kill them because that is what they are. If they have control over somebody, they're going to do whatever they want. They are going to do whatever they want to that person. And ultimately that is what is amusing to them. And they do not care about anything else. They do not care about anything that might be a interest to regular people on the planet. That all bores them. That is how bad they are. So these people have high levels of alien DNA. And this includes Neanderthal DNA. And they are also inbred. They practice incest and inbreeding. So they are like so they become the animal form of humanity. If human beings were just animals, it would be these people. So they are born without souls. Their children now are being born without souls. They're coming from intergenerational abuse families that practice ritual murder and incest. They're something like a fertility cult, and they all trade their kids around to molest each other's kids. So the children that are being born into these families are being born without souls. So for a long time, the Pleiadians have tried to work with these people to try to undo some of this destruction that the aliens, that the Greys have done to the human race on this planet. And that is all they've done, is work with these people for centuries. And at this point, it is a complete failure. It is an absolute failure. If every single one of these people were given a test, if every single one of these people were given a test they would get every single one of the questions wrong. They will get a 0%. They will get absolutely nothing right. So it's up to regular people to bypass them. To bypass them. So once again, I'm talking about the people in Hollywood. All the famous actors, all the famous celebrities, all the most wealthy people in the corporations, these giant monopoly corporations and banks. I'm talking about all these people in these different secret societies, like the Freemasons, and the Oddfellows. And I'm talking about the different militaries and what's in charge of the militaries, which is the CIA in America, and MI5, or military intelligence in England. All of these large militaries are completely controlled and basically filled with their types of people. So take a look at all of the videos on my channel. They often have a humorous title to it. I try to make a little light of it. And I show video of the area of Keene, New Hampshire. And usually it's at a sports, it's at my daughter's sports. They play softball, or basketball. Or it's at a musical. So most of these videos are at the school system in the Keene, New Hampshire area, in Swansea, New Hampshire. So take a look at all the people that show up at these different sports events. And you can see that something is wrong with them. These people are inbreds. They are part of this fertility cult, this pagan fertility cult that practices MK Ultra mind control and military occult ritual abuse. And the only thing they are interested in is invading and killing people. Abducting, arresting, and torturing people to death. That is the only thing that they are interested in. That is the meaning to their lives. So just take a look at all the videos on my channel where I bring a camera to my daughter's sports event and take a look at these people. They look like they're borderline retarded. Something looks wrong with all of these people. And they take the best looking ones and they put them in Hollywood. And quite often when they're not in the public eye, when they don't have the makeup studios, when they don't have all the camera angles, when they don't have the whole Hollywood movie industry going out of their way to coach these people to appear like heroes, when you see them on the street, they also look the same as their fellow inbreds. They go through a process. They go through a process in Hollywood to make them look more presentable for the screen. When in reality, they look very much like their inbred brothers and sisters in these different MK Ultra groups. So one of their games is to reach out to them, try to convince them to do things different, try to reason with them, try to appeal to them, take them serious, take some of them serious. They're not all like that. Just some of them are like that. They are all soulless. If they could take a good person and bring them down, get them in trouble, trigger them to get themselves in trouble. These people love that. Whatever they can do to get to real people, they love that. Because they know eventually, if they take complete control of somebody, they're going to end up attacking that person.